Q Services, Qwashers, either on YouTube. What we've got here is the Mtm Pf22 foam cannon. The item itself, with the jetting that's in there at the moment, it comes with is 11.5 litres at 220 bar, and that can work up to 80 degrees. Now as we look at this system here, assessing it all and working it all out, you will see that inside there you've got the very fine jet that can be taken out and unscrewed, which we'll show you in a little while. On the top of the actual item itself, you've got the knob, which is the black knob. That can be turned, and what you're simply doing there is regulating the air, which we'll show you in a minute or two on the system. You'll see the plus and the minus, and what that's doing is allowing air to go into the system to give you the foam side. This foam cannon also, if we look at the front of it, you'll see, so it gives you the option of working horizontal or diagonal, and also changing the spray pattern. So at the moment we're changing the spray pattern. Now we can change the angle if we want to, and still do the same again. So if we do it on the thing, we can then change, yeah, and it can do that. It can go back up, and you can change it again on that side. Now this bottle does stand up. It will stand up and it will stay stood up without any chemical in there, which is a big bonus when we're looking at these. Also, the plastics on there are very good quality. So that there and the knob, fantastic, no problem at all. The quality of the item itself is good. You will see, like I said before, if you look up inside, you might just be able to see it there. Inside there is where the air goes down the side and it takes the air in. 1/4 inch BSP female thread on the inlet side, so you can simply put your quick release, whatever needs to go, directly straight in. And like I say, there's the jet. Now what we're going to do is show you a foam bottle that's already been taken in bits. Now the only downside about this is, compared to all the others, it isn't the easiest to work with to get in bits to where you want to go to. The easiest part is taking the jet out, and that's inside there. After we've got to there, we've got the mesh itself, which is the mesh filter, which is this part, and also putting back is not easy. So if we look here, we'll see that the whole lot MTM foam cannon is completely in bits. Got the knob for the top. You can then see where this here is the air regulator, which you can't actually see when we showed you before. And what simply happens is the spindle that goes here screws down inside it, and that regulates and lets the air into the system as it's working. So as we screw that down, so screwing that down, you'll see the air regulator there. You can see, now screw it again, and what we're doing is by screwing that up and down, that regulates the amount of air. Now once we've put that part back in, you'll see that you've got a very fine spring, and what it does is you've got to get a little screwdriver in there to get that clip out both sides and flick it out. Make sure you don't lose that part. So that can go in back in the top of it. The knob then can go back onto the top of the system. And the screw on the top go back in to put the knob back on. We've then got the jet. So sometimes, depending on the machine you're using, I mentioned before about 11.5 litres at the 220 bar. So these jets come in different sizes. We do have these all in different sizes, and they're standard and everything else, and that unscrews from the inlet side. So what you've got there at the moment is nothing in there, and that's where the jet screws back into place. If you, for instance, had the machine where it's going jet, 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 sometimes you need a bigger jet because the machine cannot cope with the small jet size. It needs to be altered. A lot of CARCHERs in the marketplace cause that problem because of the way they're built and the way they're put together. Now the hardest part is the next part, which is where the mesh goes. So this mesh here, this is what you need to get into, which you can't do anything about, and this is what gets clogged at times and it needs changing around. So if you're using a snow foam bottle, all of a sudden the snow starts disappearing, it's not as good a quality, most of the time what happens is it starts to get clogged up in here. Flip this around before it gets too bad, continue using it, it'll blow itself out the other way within 10 seconds, as long as it's not got too clogged up, and your foam will come back to normal. Now what we did find was when we're putting this back in place, it's not the easiest job to do, to get the screwdriver and get it pushed back in place. So that's gone back in place inside there, which you can see at the bottom. We're then going to put this part in that goes in there in the right way around. You'll see there's an O-ring on there. that o-ring sits into the bottom as you drop it down and in. So there's the black o-ring. Yeah, so as we push it in that way around, the o-ring sits into the bottom. Now,
no, sorry, wrong way around. That goes like that.
That goes in facing that way, so the o-ring sits in the bottom. Now that o-ring, what it's doing is it's going to seal against this part when it's pushed in place. So this part here is sealed with that o-ring right on this end. So we can then put this part back in. So when you're wanting to get to that mesh, this is what you've got to do. Yeah, that pin also is very hard. It's not the easiest of pins to take out, but like I say, so what we'll do is that pin would push back in place. As you can see now, it is tight. They do need to be tight, but sometimes it's a bit awkward between being tight and not tight. Just find that right. Yeah, so that side of it, that pin now is pushed back in. That wants to go right the way in completely and disappear. Yeah. When we come to put this part back on, which is this, yeah, you pull the clips out. So them clips need to be pulled out at both sides, you'll see. One at one side, one at the other. They need to be unclipped out when you're taking that front part off. And that just clips in place from there onwards. Now at the top as well on the system itself, you will also find a very fine pinprick there, and that lets the bottle breathe. So that's the pinprick that breathes it. Now the other little concern I've got is obviously this system here itself. If we take the pipe off, pull the pipe off, that part there is very, very tiny, and obviously the chemical sometimes can corrode stuff, and that's the pickup pipe that picks the chemical up. So like I say, it is only a very, very small item to push on there. So that's back in place as well. So we end up with a foam bottle that looks like this once we put it all back together. Yeah, but like I say, taking to get work maintenance and everything else isn't the easiest job to do on the actual item. The quality of the foam that comes out of it, which we'll show you another video shortly, absolutely fantastic. The working of the actual foam bottle itself is fantastic, no problem, which will follow on video. But like I say, what we're doing is showing you how to maintain and take this and correct problems that might occur. Thank you very much. Q Services, Qwashers, eBay and YouTube. There is markings on here that tell you, just a quick one, how much chemical you've got in there. There is markings all the way up the bottle, as you can see. The thread on the top as well, just right quickly, is also not the biggest of threads, so make sure you thread it on correctly in the first place, because you will damage that thread. Thank you very much. Q Services, Qwashers, eBay and YouTube.